Good evening and welcome to the International Great Black Read Aloud Day, day 26. We are doing some catch up because it's our last day for reading this month. And so we are reading today, day 26, Paranormal. My name is LD Robinson and I am your reader for this evening. It looks like we're doing some marathon reading, but we're having a good time because we got great selections here. And so we are excited. I am, as I said, my name is Ellie Robinson, and I am your reader for today. But before we get started, we want to remind you that you can follow us online at Black Read Aloud. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Never miss a reading. We've got a great year planned this year, and since we've made it through the 28th of this month, 28 days of reading, almost 28 days. Well, we've covered 28 different genres anyway. We are expecting to have a fantastic read aloud year. And so we've got interviews that we've got with different authors and poets. We've got all kinds of things that we're bringing you this year as we go through the year celebrating words written by Black people all around the world. And so that's what we do here at TIGBRAD. We give voice to words written by Black people around the world because we believe it is important to encourage the exploration, the purchase, and reading of books written by Black people. And so that's what we do. And today we are going to let's put up um, our cover for day 26, Paranormal. And it is Redemption by author Edwina Fort. That is our selection for today. And it's a little bit of a tale between a modern day Beauty and the Beast. And so we are going to enjoy that today and we're going to read. And so it is Paranormal Day, day 26. And this is Redemption by Edwina Fort. And so we're picking it up after a little situation has handled and somebody's trying to be a little sticky fingers. And so we're going to read this, and it's Gabriel. The real Shanice reproached me with inviting eyes. She was pretty, but she was not Yasmin. Hey, Daddy, you sent for me, she cooed, easing down in my lap. I allowed this because I needed information from her. Kenny, who had been talking to that little mommy in the black dress, turned to look at the woman in my lap. Nah, baby, I did, he said, patting his lap. She held her head back and laughed. Well, unless Big Daddy here done changed his mind about me, I prefer to stay on his lap. She leaned in, brushing her lips against my ear while rubbing her hand up my chest. Where's your girl? I wasn't big on playing games. She looked at me slightly startled at my abrasive tone. This I couldn't help. I wasn't a smooth talker like Kenny. For a minute, she was frozen with her fear of me. It had just dawned on her that she had brazenly sat in the lap of the beast. But then her greedy gaze went to her hand that rubbed my chest, my watch, the diamond in my ear, and she decided to forge on in her attempted seduction. What's wrong with me? She purred, licking her glossy lips. It was me you asked for, after all. That's because Yasmin lied and gave me your name instead of hers. But that's beside the point. Where's she at? Why ain't she here? She squirmed on my lap, rubbing her soft apple shaped bottom against me. I don't know why Sugar didn't tell you, she said on a moan. I brought my hand to her waist, stilling her hips. Tell me what? Old girl got fired, yo. Are you sure? Because that's not what your boss said. Kenny asked, completely turning away from the female he was talking to. He was already reaching for his phone. I held up my hand, stopping him from making the call. You know where she lives? I asked her instead. She held her head back and laughed. Yo, I think she went back south. Didn't you hear that Texas drawl in her speech? I didn't hear much of nothing. She had me so hungry for her that the only thing I could process was the fact that she was telling me to stop. And her name, of course. Well, fake name. I shook my head. Yeah, Sugar fired her for being alone with you, and I think she moved back to Texas. I bit down on my teeth, trying to stop myself from throwing this female across the room. Both Kenny and Mac exchanged worried glances. Do you have an address for her in Texas? I calmly asked, although rage, pure and uncut, was awakening in me. Shanice's mouth, Shanice's mouth dropped open. You gonna try to find her in Texas? That little country mouse must have the bomb. My phone dinged, and I reached for it because that ding meant the silent alarm was going off somewhere in my house. Seconds later, Mac's phone went off as well. Somebody had just made the unfortunate mistake of crossing the no-go zone on the third floor and was getting ready to lose their life for it. Putting my hands around the girl's waist, I lifted her off my lap. Wait, where are you going? She asked, trying to wrap her arms around my neck. I moved her arms away. Here, talk to Kenny. I grumbled, setting her aside. My mind had already gone ahead to what I was going to do when I got my hands on a nigger that would dare try and rob me. Wait, she called after me. Kenny put his arm around her waist and pulled her into his lap. Finish telling me what you know about Yasmin, I heard him say as I began to walk across the floor, Mac right beside me. I felt myself slipping to a level of anger that was dangerous for everybody here right now. Yo, Gabe, maybe you should let me and Flint handle this, Max said as we took the stairs three at a time. I ignored him as I continued up. I was not trying to hear none of that right now. Somebody dare break into my spot, then they deserve whatever they got coming. Gee, your temper, he began, but I turned to face him. The rage that I was barely holding on to was beating at my soul to be let free. Mac turned to look down at the floor, breaking eye contact with me. I hated when he did that. It made me feel like an animal. Is one is what one is trained to do when dealing with an enraged gorilla or bear. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to break him. Gabe, you got to fight it, bruh, he said bravely. I didn't want to fight it. I wanted to let go and destroy. So much so that I was beginning to see red. I needed to let go of some of the rage that I felt flowing through my veins at this moment. This night should have been so simple. It should have been so simple. I turned around and grabbed the nearest thing to me that was not my best friend of 29 years. An ugly stone statue of some kind of European art that my interior decorator insisted needed to occupy this space. I picked it up and broke it in two. The satisfaction of feeling the stone crumble in my hands almost made me high. Gabe, Max spoke low and calm. Remember your pops. Remember what will happen if you let go again. The man warned you he will kill you. Mac, my self appointed conscience. I don't know why, but he had taken it upon himself to be the voice in my head, always trying to tell me to do the right thing. He was my guardian angel, set on protecting me from myself. Think about your pops, he repeated. My pops? I looked down at my hands that were covered in dust from the stone. But that night, the night my pops was murdered, they had been covered in blood. My pops was the devil. He deserved to die. Just like whomever this was that had not done their research before they decided to rob me. To break into the home of the beast. For that mistake, they will pay with their life. I shot up the last flight of stairs, moving at a speed that was impossible for Mac to keep up with me. Flint and his team was coming up the back way, entering the third level. When he saw me, he silently signaled toward my bedroom. Yasmin. His jewelry was still in its boxes. Most of it came from the same place. The boxes were all black with a fancy gold script on them that was no doubt the name of some expensive jewelry store. I didn't waste my time trying to open and look in them. I just picked up 6 of the cases and shoved them in my bag. I didn't want to take them all. I just prayed Shanice was right and he wouldn't notice these few missing. As I arranged them in my bag, I kind of wish I would have left some of my belongings at Shanice's. My things already pushed my bag to the limits. I had to wrestle with the straps to get them to close with the added boxes. I exhaled when I was done. It was time to go. As I headed back toward the door of the closet going into the bedroom, I got a strange feeling, like the room on the other side of the door had changed. My steps faltered. I stopped breathing, listening for even the slightest sound of movement. I didn't hear anything. Come on, Yasmin, you got to get out of here. My heart was pounding in a way that made me feel as if maybe I was going to have a stroke or a heart attack. Something was wrong. I needed to get out of here. I needed to get out of here now. I put my other backpack strap on my arm and ran as fast as I could out the closet. My plan was to keep running till I ran through Shanice's apartment door. However, the sight that greeted me when I came out the closet caused my steps to come to a screeching halt. Standing just inside the door, looking like an approaching tempest, was Gabriel. The anger that poured from him was crippling. I had never felt such rage before, not even in the mirror as he beat and tried to rape me. Gabe's frown was so fierce that it literally made my knees knock. This man was so vicious looking that he made the 8 or 9 big security guards standing next to him look like Red Cross volunteers. I knew the moment he recognized me. At first, his gaze was shocked, but then it turned into a boiling pot of anger. It felt like a hot laser shooting at me. I put my hands on my lips. I don't know why. Maybe to stop the scream that wanted to rip from my throat. Too afraid that the slightest movement would make this beast of a man pounce on me and destroy me. For the second time in my life, I was struck with crippling fear. Mac, it looks like I've been set up. Gabriel's voice was so deep and deadly that it seemed to vibrate through the floor and up through the soles of my feet. I wanted to shake my head, denying it, but his dark, intense gaze was holding mine prisoner, and the only thing that I could do was stare back at him with pleading eyes. And then he began to walk toward me, and my feet, out of pure instincts to survive at whatever cost, snapped out of paralysis before my mind did, because they began to run toward the door. It was like they knew that freedom was on the other side, but somehow the 8 or 9 giant men standing there didn't seem to matter when the other side of that door meant survival. I was so focused on the hallway that when the strong arm that felt like steel wrapped around my waist, I began to scream my head off while going wild. He lifted me off my feet with that amazing strength and shook me till my teeth rattled. "Calm down, Yasmin," he growled in my ear. And I don't know if it was the fact that he had used my name or the fact that he now had both arms wrapped around me and was holding me so close that his face was buried in my neck, but my body went limp in his arms, my feet dangled at his shins. When it was clear I had gained control of my sanity, he put me on my feet and pushed me away from him. But as I flew down to the floor, my backpack didn't come with me. He still held that in his hand. And now I felt panic, not because the jewelry boxes were in there, but because he now held everything I had left in life in his hands. "What's in this bag?" he growled down at me. "Nothing, just my things." His voice shook so bad. My voice shook so bad, my words were barely legible. He ripped open the straps that I had just wrestled to get closed, and all 6 boxes fell to the floor, the thunk of each one of them testifying to my guilt. I watched in horror as he continued to pull my things out of my bag. My grandfather's overalls, my grandmother's yellow dress, his black t-shirt. I scrambled up on my knees and grabbed my treasures. "That's it," I yelled, reaching for my bag, wanting him to stop more than anything. He was tearing apart the only home I had left. "Please give it to me. It's all I have left." My tears were pouring down my cheek. His angry gaze pinned me to the floor. Then he let out a loud roar. I brought my hand to my ears, covering them. Oh my goodness. He was not human. No human could make the sound that just came out of his mouth. He threw my bag across the room. It crashed into the wall before falling to the floor with a thump. I got up to go after it. "Take her to the basement and chain her up." I heard his deadly growl come from behind me. No other scarier words could have been uttered. "No," I cried as I tried to run, but before I could take one step, 2 men grabbed me. One grabbed the top of me and the other my legs. I opened my mouth to scream, but the man who had his arm wrapped around my waist brought his other up to cover it. I was going to die. He was getting ready to tie me up and torture me. Tears made it impossible to see as I struggled to get out their arms. "Dear God, please don't let me die." As we walked out of the room, the man with the kind face came up the stairs. With my eyes, I pleaded for help as the men swiftly carried me past him. His face registered surprise as he held up his hand toward me and questioned, "Tell Barry to go ahead and make those wedding plans," I heard Gabriel say before everything went black. I fainted. When I came to, my hands were being chained over my head. "No!" I began to struggle, kicking out at the security guard that was holding my arms above my head, while the other was securing the manacles around my wrists, catching him right in his chin. He balled his fist in my wig, yanking hard. "Be still, you thieving!" I closed my eyes when I felt it come off in his hand. "What the?" he said as my hair spilled out to fall down my back. Once my wrist was secured over my head, they both stopped to look at me. The one who had pulled my wig off, eyes raked down my body, and he whistled. He grabbed his crotch through his pants. "She's sexy." "Please let me go," I cried. My heart was beating so fast it became painful in my chest, or maybe it was the lump in my throat. The other security guards that were also staring at me began to step aside as Gabriel, who seemed larger than life, stepped into the room. With him was the man in the red shirt I saw him sitting with earlier. By himself, that man would have been very scary, but standing next to Gabriel, he seemed like the tamer of the two. "When the boss gets finished with you, I think I'll take you back to my place," the man who snatched off my wig said, still rubbing his hand on his crotch. The security guard standing next to him gave him an elbow as he watched the look on Gabriel's face get darker. Dear God, he looked so angry. There was no doubt in my mind he was going to kill me. I had never been this afraid, not even the night I killed Mayor Davenport. My teeth began to chatter. The man in front of me had a wicked smile on his face. "Shorty, I can't wait to—" He never got the chance to finish his sentence because the guard who was trying to warn him stepped back just in time to get out of the way of Gabriel's fist. "Oh my God," I yelled, because he hit the man with so much force that his body flew across the room and literally bounced off the wall. The sound of bones breaking could be heard throughout the room. Everyone, except the man in the red shirt, winced as if they could feel the blow. "Get out," he growled. The man in the red shirt grabbed his arm. "Gabe, this is a female." Gabriel snatched his arm from him. "Get out," he roared so loud that my chains rattled. He wasn't human. No man can make that sound or have the strength to send a grown man's body flying across the room to bounce off a wall. I tried to pull my hands out of the cuffs. "Wait, don't leave me." The security team was not wasting any time getting out of here. Neither of them wanted to suffer the same fate as their fellow co-worker. "Help me." My toes barely touched the floor, but I was so scared I tried to walk that way anyway. Two of the men picked up the unconscious guard and carried him out. The man in the red shirt hesitated as he watched Gabriel with concerned eyes, before he too eventually left, shutting the door behind him, leaving me alone with this man that was not a man. Gabriel stood looking at me, breathing in rage. In and out, in and out. He reminded me of a bull. I could imagine fire coming through his nose. My chattering teeth and Gabriel's angry breathing was now the only sound that could be heard in the room. "Please, please don't hurt me," I pleaded when he took a step toward me. Tears came to my eyes. For just a moment, he looked like the beast so many people accused him of being. "Please, Gabriel, don't hurt me. I'm so sorry." I was begging him with everything I had in me. I didn't want to die. His gaze raked over me as he continued to walk toward me. His massive chest expanded and retracted as he continued to take angry breaths. But the closer he got, the more I could see something else in his contemplation. Gabriel. For a moment, the only thing I could do was stare at her. My rage for witnessing Bam touch himself while watching her was turning into lust. How dare he look at what's mine? But now that blinding rage was swiftly becoming an all-consuming want. She was by far the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. With her arms above her head like that, it caused a uniform shirt to rise up to just underneath her breasts. The little skirt left all her thighs on display and only covered part of her that I wanted most. I took a step closer. And that has been our selection for today for Paranormal Day. This is Redemption by author Edwina Fort, and we'll put up our cover here. Let's go ahead and get that up for you. And it is Redemption, a modern urban fantasy paranormal tale of Beauty and the Beast, and a good read. So check it out, and enjoy yourselves while you read. Sorry, I had a moment there. Excuse me. So this has been day 26, Paranormal Day, and paranormal is where things are super worldly. They're otherworldly, right? They are supernatural. There are abilities and powers and things that are beyond the normal. And so this is our selection for today, which was Redemption by Edwina Fort, is a modern day tale of Beauty and the Beast, urban fantasy, urban paranormal fantasy, that should be. And so we will be back with another day with day 28 for the International Great Black Read Aloud Day 2026 version. We have made it through 27 readings and we'll be back for 28. So we'll see you. Have a good night.